Welcome to New Game Plus. You're listening to a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name's Professor K.
Nolan.
And this is episode 289. And guess what? It's another Patreon poll!
Another one.
Pool, splash.
The third Patreon poll of the summer pool party, followed by one more, which will be the fourth Patreon pool.
Quadfecta.
We got to talk Steam Deck at the top of this episode.
What's that?
It is
Yep.
Valve's new handheld gaming PC, where you will be able to play your entire Steam library on the go at 720p resolution. You will eventually also be able to dock it. It's a straight-up computer. If you don't want the Steam little app on it, you can erase it and download Windows. Like, you can do absolutely anything on it. You can hook up a mouse to it if you would like to. It's got trackpads. It's got motion. It's pretty much a switch for your Steam library.
Wait. I just saw a picture of it and roasted it. It's a PC?
It's a PC.
Yeah.
Like it has like I could play Final Fantasy 14 on it
Sure.
if I had internet.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's all you're thinking about right now. But yeah, I guess so. You don't play that through Steam though, but you can download any other clients as well.
Okay, that's actually interesting to me. A PC, a portable PC?
Well, this is interesting to a
Basically-
lot of people because Steam is the best at what it does.
Yes, I think so.
They don't have a robust history of hardware releases that are wildly
Okay, the
successful.
controller sucked. We're past that.
Well, I thought you were about to say they do not have a robust library, but that's where
No,
they've got.
they've got the most robust library of all time. That's not the problem. I'm not worried about software. I'm worried about hardware.
Okay,
Yes.
Steam
Fair
Link
enough.
is like where you could remote stream your gameplay in another room. That's kind of cool. I didn't have a use for it. The controller, but this actually has some potential, I think.
I don't know. It's a big question mark for me. I obviously am going to wait, see what happens. If it gets well reviewed, like if people pick it up and it's sturdy, seems like it's going to last a long time. Seems like there's good button mapping support for games without a whole bunch of like user intervention where you've got to manually map everything. All the stuff that make it have legs and have sort of easy pick up and play quality. I'll pick one up. I would love to do it. I often play like computer games on a tablet and I'm super limited to only touch input kinds of things. I'd love stuff that broke me out of that.
What's the price point?
There's 3 different models.
Okay.
The only main difference is storage space. Then they're all SSDs, but the top 2 versions are slightly faster. Okay, so $399, $499, and $599, I believe.
Oh, okay. But you got to remember, so at first I was like, that's a joke. It's PC components. Think about building a PC. That's not a bad price.
No, and I like some of my concern is, yes, I agree with Kenny. We've got to see about hardware because Valve doesn't have a lot of history with that. But number 2 is I'm kind of disappointed that 65 gigs is our starting because that's one of my games.
That's one game, literally. Wait, that's low.
It's 65 gigs, but you've got an expansion slot. Now, you're not going to get the speed out of additional memory. It's not going to be as efficient and as performant as your built-in stuff. But you can blow it up with a card if you want. And so for a lot of people who are trying to go budget, it's not a terrible option.
I might
If
buy
I was
this.
gonna do it, I'd probably go on the pricier one.
I might buy this. I'm not kidding.
I'm just
I
saying,
know, I'm not either.
the idea of Steam library on the go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that in and of itself is some of the best news.
Bro.
And they are brilliant to pitch this after
OLED.
Nintendo said Switch OLED, no upgrades, just to, what we had that discussion last week. But they're brilliant to be like, or for is it slightly more? $399 is more than what the Switch
Slightly more.
Slightly more, you can have your entire Switch library on the go. or play it on any other
I
monitor.
like how our editor made the thumbnail, don't buy a OLED Switch. Maybe the next one will be buy a Steam Deck.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm super excited. I sure don't know if the Steam Deck has what it takes to kill the Switch so far, but one thing I do know is that video killed the Radio Star.
That's true.
Like in our retro game of the week, Jet Set Radio?
Overview.
Jet Set Radio, or more specifically in our case, Jet Grind Radio.
Bump and grind?
Because we did play the Sega Dreamcast version of this game.
Sega.
Sega. And at least the original Dreamcast title was Jet Grind Radio. This is a 2000s. I was going to say late 90s because it feels like it, but came out in 2000. Action title. This is a really hard genre for me to define.
It's a
because
sports
what
game.
in the world is it? It's a little bit sports game, but it's not. It's a little bit sort of, I don't know, GTA-ish in the whole like urban irreverence, but it's sort of not. It's a little bit like a sort of interactive thing where you're hitting inputs at a certain time. I don't know.
Okay, so I have heard other reviewers connect this game or relate it to games like Parappa the Rapper and the Tony Hawk series, but I don't really see either of those.
I see
So-
both.
No. Okay. I see
dead people.
Tony Hawk, obviously.
Really?
Oh, I mean, you should get that checked out.
I know a guy.
I obviously see Tony Hawk. Like that's an obvious correlation. They're very similar. But I have a harder time buying Parappa the Rapper. I could easily make an argument that it's more Pokemon than it is Parappa the
How?
Rapper.
No, you
you
can't.
absolutely cannot go home.
Sure you can. Okay. Watch me. Okay, so you jump into the game, and one of the first things you start doing is collecting new characters. You're like unlocking new playables
Stop.
with different
That is a
stats.
stretch.
You unlock Gum, you unlock Tab, and you unlock Mew too.
So he does.
I'm
have
literally
three.
done with this episode after that.
Like, we'll stop here.
Yes. We can.
At the end
I'm
of each
done.
and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not
Yes.
we give it our game for New Game Plus. He set that up.
I know. I'm mad that we were like, he knew that we'd be like, you're stupid. No, you can't.
But like, why would he do that?
I don't know. We shouldn't let him do overview anymore. Y2K, year 2000.
It's everything I wanted in this episode. Like, I'm also happy I'm with Nolan.
You honestly need to stop. No more talking.
Yeah.
Like
No.
ever. I connect it to Splatoon.
Yeah, that too.
It's-
Sure.
Kenny, don't even, because you're an idiot. Splatoon, it's not even.
I don't know enough about Splatoon to say. I was gonna be like, well, tell me how. How is it the same?
Kids.
Are they even on inline skates in Splatoon?
I don't know.
Or are they just running?
I don't know.
I don't remember, but it's a neon colored world where they're running around and squirting
Paint.
their gun paint on over the enemy, over the people that are also painting, and it's, you know, whoever can squirt their paint most.
Yes,
It's
but that's a
so
more
much
modern
better.
game, and so the comparison back then was Tony Hawk and Parappa the Rapper. I see both
No, I don't.
in theme and in just style of game. I see both.
The only Parappa the Rapper is just because they have this weird thing where they choose to put all of their characters moving to the music, even though it's not a music game, and
You're
it's
just
really
not with
confusing.
it, Kenny. You're not hip.
I'm not, and that's a problem with this game because they were
Okay.
absolutely trying to be early 2000s hip,
Yeah.
and
Hip replacement.
I'm not that. I'm more hip replacement than I am
Not-
hip.
Very good. Okay, so Dreamcast, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have only played 1.5 games on the Dreamcast.
We'll have.
Well,
It's true.
Shenmue was the game, the game, and then
Yep.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle that we played with the 8-bit drummer was also on the Dreamcast, but I believe we simply played that on the GameCube
GameCube,
because
yeah.
that was where it was more popular.
Yep.
And so Does Dreamcast just have a smaller catalog compared to a lot of other consoles?
I don't know. I'm very
Probably.
ill-informed about this console. I just know that like two of my friends, maybe one growing up, had one, and it was like, I don't know, people clowned him, because it wasn't one of the other ones.
It wasn't PlayStation.
Yeah.
Retro Master List is also user submitted, and Dreamcast wasn't as popular as these other genres, so it makes sense that we wouldn't get as many submissions on a less popular console.
Sure.
Without any jokes, do you want to tell us a little bit about the
Yeah.
story?
Let's do that. I might have a hard time
No.
trying to keep a straight face because this game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, and it only
No,
gets
it's-
more ridiculous as it goes on.
Yes. It, just compounding ridiculosity. You are a rebellious adolescent. I don't know how to say this without sounding like weird or out of touch or old. You're like the member of a gang, but not a real gang. The kind of gang that just, I don't know.
Street toughs.
You're street toughs that wear inline skates, but magical inline skates that are powered by Netrium, which is a real thing, and that let you do tricks and ride around the city. And of course, you want to stick it to the man and to the other street gangs that are less cool than your street gang. And so you go around vandalizing Tokyo, or almost Tokyo, and being the best at being a
You're trying to
vandal.
be the illest.
You're trying to be sick. I have even a hard time describing this game and trying to do it with a straight face and not feeling like I'm like fellow kidsing
No, you
because
did a good
it's
job.
so early 2000s.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you did a good job. You did a fine
no,
job.
I didn't.
They
You're
fellow
a part of,
kids.
you're part of the street gang GGs, and you are
Right.
battling other street gangs while DJ Professor K is the radio station host that is narrating, that is playing the music, setting the vibe for the entire game, and then you're being tracked by Captain Onishima and his troops to stop what you're doing. That's that's.
Because you are vandalizing the
he-
city.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and he's got it out for you. He doesn't just send his troops at you. Very quickly in this game, you get attacked by SWAT team members. You get a
Oh.
pack of dogs sicked on you. You get
Yeah.
helicopters called in to shoot missiles at you. Like, this is a real serious business, apparently.
Which
These
is-
hoodlums.
Which is a great segue for us to go into gameplay and talk a little bit more about what that specifically looks like. Before we do, this was a Patreon poll, as already said. It was submitted by Shauna, Francesca, Corey, and Indar. So it really helps to double up on those game submissions.
Yeah, it does.
Now, I don't want to sidetrack, but Kenny, I think you're good at math. If you put in an entry, it's a 50% chance that your entry is going to get picked, correct?
No.
No,
How-
it either will or it won't.
That's the dumbest math in the whole world.
So visit us on patreon.com/NGP podcast to find out how you can be a part. And if you submit a game, there's 50% chance that your game will be selected.
No.
You guarantee yourself a 50% shot at having your game played on the
Oh my
episode.
goodness.
That's dumber than my Pokemon joke.
Gameplay.
Now, I will start with the defense of the Tony Hawk comparison. Because the core of the gameplay, or at least the control scheme of this gameplay, is skating around a town. And instead of a skateboard,
in a
it's...
3D town.
Sure, yes. And
Yeah.
it's inline...
That's where the comparison ends.
No! It's inline skates instead of a skateboard. It's grinding, it's doing tricks that have names, and you get point
No.
values for them.
4 points.
Yeah, like and the list probably goes on as we talk here. But like
Heavy
that's
emphasis on music.
yes, that's Tony Hawk, Dustin.
That's Tony Hawk.
It looks
do you-
different, and that's where
No.
the other comparison Parappa comes in.
Tony Hawk is all about executing different like inputs to be able to do tricks. Do you think you're executing inputs here to do tricks?
No, but
You're executing inputs
some.
to put graffiti down.
It is a totally.
I don't-
It's, no, like it is not. It is not even close to that. In
Okay,
this
so
game,
what game is it like then?
here I'll just give you one. Splatoon. Have you
No.
heard of it? It's a neon color. It's like we've already done this. But okay, it is the weirdest game, and if you want to throw Tony Hawk in there and Parappa the Rapper and all these other games, whatever. But at first, like I'm doing the tutorial. By the way, there's a tutorial and then there's the game. The game has the better tutorial than the tutorial.
Kenny found
Yeah,
that
it
out.
forces you to go through a tutorial after an actual tutorial that's a terrible tutorial, and it made my first play experience very uncomfortable.
But if you haven't watched Kenny's first play experience, Kenny always gets these games that are hip when, again, he needs a hip replacement. And it's interesting to watch him try to make sense of all of the flashing lights. It's always interesting. But the tutorial on how it gave a tutorial on how to skate, right? And so it's pretty basic, like follow this character, do this, grind this rail, jump off, land, all of that. And then there was a text at the end of that. I didn't know what I was getting into. Didn't play this growing up. Don't know anything about it. There's a text at the end of the tutorial that said, while you're grinding, you can't be hit by bullets.
Important.
What?
So hard when that came up.
Magic?
What did I just get myself into?
It seriously sets it up as a normal, like, Tony Hawk-esque type game. And then without any kind of, like, preface, it's like, keep skating so you don't die.
Because they do shoot shotguns at you later. The cops shoot you.
Yeah, Kenny, I like that you brought in these other things, but it really just starts with one cop running after you with a pistol that will get close and try to not shoot you, and then it goes to some other military men, then some military men that like put smoke bombs out, and then helicopter men, and then like airplane fighters with missiles.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
Clearly-
silly.
They're clearly not trying to make this realistic.
No,
And it's the whole cop thing and the whole irreverent, like, youth sort of rebellious thing that make me say GTA possibly is like an influence here. But regardless, it's ridiculous, but not just on that front. From a lot of other fronts too. The physics are absolutely crazy. You can just like grind into the air against gravity, no
Where's
problem.
gravity?
Like anytime you want. Yeah, what is gravity? The fact that you're feuding with these other street gangs and that one of the ways you resolve these feuds is by literally playing tag, not tagging walls, but literally running after each other and then spraying each other with spray paint.
yeah. There are a remarkable amount of different kind of play types. I think
Yes.
there's only like 3 main ones, but those are even broken down further.
Yeah.
So, but
Huge
like
variety.
I think we've kind of set it up, but you've got 3 different areas that are controlled by 3 different gangs, rival gangs, and they each have 3 different vibes aesthetically and some of the things that you're doing, whether you're underground or high above the city or different things like that. And then each stage has predetermined spots where you need to graffiti. It's marked by a red arrow, and you need to tag that with a graffiti. And you've got a small graffiti places where it's just one press that quickly does it, and then maybe Parappa the Rapper.
Okay, the
bit.
inputs, yes.
Because there are bigger ones where you have to put in a series of inputs with your D-pad.
Almost like a rhythm game. Almost, not really, but yes.
Yeah, sort of.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And as you're going through the level, you're collecting spray cans, so you have to manage that. And I mean, there are collectibles in Tony Hawk too, but I won't go there.
You also have to manage your health because your health is
Yeah.
taken down by the missiles and the dogs.
Right, like what?
Which you also get back by collecting a different color of spray paint. So
Yeah.
you're running around collecting different colors of spray paint, whether you want more ammo, more health, or more anything.
I really like the Splatoon comparison. Actually,
I think there's a lot there for
Yeah.
sure.
I think all of these things are good, like things to envision when trying to picture this game. At least in terms of gameplay, in terms of plot and theme, that's a whole different thing.
I do want to go back to the Tony Hawk thing just because,
Okay.
like, tricks are not the focus of this game
Not at all.
at all. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not doing inputs like you are with Tony Hawk, right? It's not up, down, something to get the Benihana. It's happening, right?
Well,
Just as
in
you're the
Tony
air.
Hawk, it was mostly like a direction plus a button.
Or direction, button, whatever. Like, it's button combinations.
Yeah.
You're not doing that
It's
here, right?
somewhere in between. I mean, you've got to hit the right buttons at the right time in relation to where you are in the environment. Like that piece of it is Tony Hawk Light.
Yeah.
I never was told in game, and it never registered So like Kenny, you can go back in the game and you can say I'm about to do this move and go off and do this move.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it never said that in game, and I never.
No, it never explains
No.
it to you. It's a side thing. It's not the main point.
But it's not
It's
even.
sort of it's this icing on top.
I guess, but it doesn't even do anything. I mean, it gets you more points. That's all.
It's a
Oh, but
different
none of it.
style of gameplay than Tony Hawk, which is here's a playground, go skate and have fun. This one you have more objective-based things, and the tricks are a side thing tacked on, because what kind of game would this be if you didn't have some sort of tricks that you could do as an inline skater?
Right. And you do have to be able to replicate at least those basic tricks, the grinding and the jumping into specific places. Some of the fancier ones really are sort of bonusy for you to just like enjoy while you're going around. But one of the main mechanics here is this whole like glorified horse interaction where you run into another skater and they're like, I'm gonna do a trick, you gotta
Yep.
do this trick.
Yeah, that's
which is,
one of the
again,
gameplays.
it's just horse.
But it was-
the
it was-
basketball game.
It was never on every single one that I did. It was never trick based. It was just grind this rail in whatever way you want to grind this rail, and then jump to this platform in whichever way you want to jump to this platform.
No,
Oh,
absolutely.
I thought it was trick-based, and I did the tricks, thinking that they were mandatory in those mimic ones.
Is there a trick list in the game? Because in Tony Hawk, you can see exactly what buttons. I see, man. I don't know if I still don't even know if I believe this. This is what I wish they would have done. I wish that instead of collecting vials, paint vials for health replenishing, you could have done tricks to get points. And that would have been tethered to your health. Make points worth, make the tricks worth something. But in this game, to me, they were worth nothing. I did not. The trick only happened naturally as I was in the air or accidentally grinding something.
That's fine, and you can play that way and be fine. Like, there are other objectives, other points to the game. It's mainly tagging and the different modes that come along with that, which I guess we could maybe talk about a little bit. The time trial ones were kind of fun to me. Back to the variety thing, I thought that's a great thing to have in this game instead of just doing the same thing the whole time, which you could argue that you are doing the same thing, but there's a different spin, and I really enjoyed the time trial ones. There are also races that you can do. I don't know if I ever did a race, but I think you can race against other NPCs or AI. But the tagging really does, like, paying attention to where the tags are and then like sometimes having to go back can get tedious.
Yeah, they do give you a little map, which I didn't realize at first, but was super helpful to find where those spots are. But some of them are kind of hard to find, and you got to figure out the specific way to get up to an area, and you're being chased by hordes of weird, angry, overkill cops the whole time. And I don't get me wrong, I was bad at this game, unsurprisingly, if you watched the first play. But like, it also had some challenge to it.
Yeah,
at least ramped into some challenge.
You're making skating puns, unintentionally probably, but like, I think that the momentum, like, there's no momentum in this game.
Do you mean in like terms of how fast you're going?
And being able to control how fast or slow you're going, to be able to pick up the speed that you need.
Yes.
You've got your right trigger that does some kind of something, but it's like time based, and so there's no symbol for it on the screen, so you don't know when you can use it, and like momentum stops abruptly if you hit something, and it's just. And then the worst cardinal sin of it all, on our version, I believe that it changed for the re-release, but the same button that tags is the same button that is crucial for centering your camera behind you.
Yeah, what is that?
And you've got so many other buttons on your Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, we're at that point where the controller is like, there are open slots that you can map things to, but why would you choose to do that?
They put it on the exact same, so that I found myself multiple times just trying to flip a screen around, but then I'm tagging something that doesn't matter. Or I'm trying to tag and it's flipping the screen around, and it was just so frustrating. Is that with the momentum that caused me the most friction this week and caused me to have Kenny like a downhill slide or something?
Yeah, downhill slide is definitely a trick. There is something off with the physics in a major way, and I can't believe they got away with it. It's very distracting to me. But like you said, so many people submitted this game, and then like this game was critically acclaimed. I feel like the physics were wonky.
Was it critically acclaimed?
I think so.
It was. It got a lot of credit, but some of that is because you got to realize some of these gameplay mechanics are relatively new.
Yeah.
Some of it was sort of the novelty of it not fitting into another specific genre. I know we're looking at it way from the future, but taking the creative approach of cell shading a game was a totally novel thing at this point. There were certainly some things that this game did and leaned into that it tried to do with excellence, and I think for the year 2000 mostly worked pretty well.
Aged.
We've had a few games before that do cell shaded graphics, and I think that it's smart. Anytime you try to go for something realistic, it's difficult. It's difficult, right? For age purposes, because you're so limited, and it's so difficult to produce something real life. But when you do something that has its own aesthetic, that is super stylized, I think that it just has the ability to help with its age tremendously. And that this is one of those things where it's so stylized that it just works in 2021 just as much as it did in 2000.
Cartoons are timeless, and this style is very cartoony.
Yep.
What I don't think translates in being timeless is the like vibe and characters that they're sharing in that cell shaded style.
Sure.
Nobody looks at Tab and his, beanie and his skating and his moves in rhythm with the time and is like, oh, that's hype, that's cool, that's who I want to be in 2021.
You remind me of Tab.
No.
I mean, we're basically twins.
Cell shading. This was the first game ever to do cell shading. No?
Very early. The first big
Are you
game,
guessing?
maybe?
No,
Who
I
said that?
thought I read that somewhere.
I mean, that's a big
That's
thing to
big
say.
if true.
Yes, it's at least one of the biggest examples.
It was
early
before Wind
of cell
Waker.
shading.
And Cell Damage was another one that we played on the podcast, but I believe that was later as well.
Wait, Jet Set Radio is recognized as one of the first games to feature cell shaded graphics.
Okay, so maybe not the first, but it was early. And I agree with you, Dustin. It's smart because you get a stylized game that ages automatically well. I guess there's maybe some bad examples, but if you try to do realism on the Dreamcast with skating, you're gonna fail. It's not gonna work as good as this works.
Right. Much smarter and safer to do something like this, but it's also hard. Like, it's got to be good, and I think they did good with it. I think
I do too.
They went very stylized with the popping colors. The entire game is stylized from the music, which we can talk about next, because it's that is another way where I would say, like Tony Hawk, that it's a focus on the music. In fact, in the re-release, they weren't able to include some tracks. Like, they wouldn't be able to include some Tony Hawk tracks because they're like straight up bands. Like, they would like be, they aren't paid for it anymore, or, it's that kind of thing. And so I think that it is. Now, the music in Tony Hawk were more like punk, some rock, some of that stuff. Here, what are these musical vibes? It's kind of all over the place, but it's all like this sharp something.
It's just because of the setting. This is a very Japan-centric game when it was made.
Shibuya.
And there are some things we see playing this American port, some of the music included, but from being in Tokyo to the characters and the character model to all the music selections in the original game before it got sort of internationalized and released in other places and had more variety of music and had some, characters that were more diverse as well. This was downtown Tokyo and nothing else. Like, they leaned really hard into that for the original version of the game.
But some of the lyrics in these songs are weird. Like, I think one of them says something about turning me on. I think it says that.
Well, why wouldn't it?
But they're just like weird,
sure.
like sing-songy lines in the middle of like this you know, I don't know.
I mean,
trying
it's
to be cool beat thing.
it's acid
Yes.
jazz, it's electronic dance, it's trip hop and hip hop and J-pop and pop and doobie dop.
It's
It's
pop
all
pop.
of these.
It's early 2000s subversive pop, which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense and was a real specific sort of flavor. And
It's almost like a time capsule.
know.
This soundtrack, like,
it really is.
yeah, it's weird listening to it
And
now.
And it's also for the like middle school I guess emo or neo emo, whatever that was, that has like band posters on their wall, not and
Yeah.
like hates their mom. Like they love this game, I feel like, because like it was just because it's anti-authority. It's anti everything from music
Yeah.
to vibe. It's everything. You play this back in 2000 and your parents are like, "What are you playing?" You're like, "You don't get it,
You
Mom."
don't get it.
Like this is what this game is.
Crank it up to 11.
So true. It's so true. The cell shaded graphics were not the only thing that this game did visually that was pretty unique. I already mentioned it, but I think it's worth noting that getting a full 3D environment for you to live in, especially when you're in Dreamcast land, not a generation of consoles later or on the PC where you're still somewhat, resource limited in what you can do, is another thing that's definitely like noteworthy. It's worth pointing out for 2000 and where we were in the development cycle, that's notable. Soon after this, it won't be, but it was for this game.
Yeah, the level design's pretty decent. I felt some of the areas were a little crammed, but overall, yeah, I'd agree with that, because that needs to be important in a game like this because of really grinding, like specifically, because that's got to feel good and it's got to feel like you can explore the level in an exciting way, and they did a pretty good job. I just think can we talk? The cell shaded graphics really do age well, and I think this game looked like a comic book, like in a good way. It popped.
One of the areas where I feel like it ages most poorly is, I mentioned it earlier, and it's in the controls. I just think they're so unresponsive for what a momentum game like this needs to be, especially when you're in the air. You have very little control as to where you're jumping, how high or how far you're jumping. And then with the poor camera, it is almost impossible to land on the poles to continue the grind or to get your character to go where you want to go. And you find out this most on the two things we talked about, on the two game types we talked about, when you're trying to tag people, because you're chasing after them and you have to tag them 10 times each on the back, which is just so difficult to do because they skate at the same speed your character does. And then number two, on the stages where you're having to mimic, it's playing horse or whatever, to get your new members, to try to do exactly what they want to do is just going to take you 10 times, and on the 10th time you're going to get lucky and land it the way that they wanted you to.
Physics fell off. The gravity thing in particular really did not sit well with me. Like I want it to be more realistic. I know this game's not going for that, but like the physics engine needed to be realistic at least.
It's futuristic, and they told you that you had magical magnets in your roller skates. So no, it was not great.
I did want to mention though, and I forgot to when we were talking about graphics, the animations are really good. I love the like skate animation, and then like the one where they turn around like that. Yeah. I think that looks smooth and actually really realistic. It looks solid.
I think they probably did that thing where they put like balls all over someone's body and then track them
in the green suit.
because it looked realistic there, which is interesting. One of the areas where I think that it ages well is that I do think that there's a lot of replayability here. It's not the longest game in the world. I think it's like 7 hours. You can, if you want to do a full complete, it's like 10 and a half. But you have got you start with a cast of like 3 or 4 on GG's team, right? Like on Team GG, whatever it is. Yeah. But that can expand to almost a dozen. including, this is a secret, including the pet dog that's in there. It's an unlockable later in the game,
Are
which is
you
great.
kidding?
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's fucking
so
ridiculous.
Alright.
and then you've got like all the collectibles, because you can change what tags you're spraying, and you can go into your garage and you can change which tag. You can even make custom tags.
That's cool.
And so there's a lot of like, I feel like, replayability there with the variety of characters and the different kind of tags and all these.
I would make a custom butt tag. It says butt.
Okay.
Maybe the A word.
I'd make an NGP one. So, okay. It is $40 used. This is Jack Grind Radio for the States on the
Okay.
Dreamcast. $40 used, 105 new.
I'm not buying it.
Okay. It's not buying it.
I mean, you don't have a Dreamcast, so that makes
Correct.
sense.
That's why.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the votes swing one way or the other. Kenny?
Can I go last?
No?
Okay. I think this game did some notable things that are worth pointing out. For its time and for its audience, it was innovative. And I'm okay with the fact that there are people that are nostalgic for this game and appreciate what it did. I am 150 million% not those people.
Okay.
This is one of those games. I don't understand what it was. I get that it's a Patreon pull game. I get that it's got a big following and there's some love, and so I'm not setting out to offend some folks. You are allowed to love this baby if you like it. But this may be one of my least favorite games we've played on the podcast yet.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
Whoa.
That's
The more I
saying
played
something.
it this week, the more ridiculous I found it, the more I was rolling my eyes, the more I felt that what might be nostalgia for some people just felt like cringe to me. This whole vibe of like subvert authority and all of those things is just not my
Wow.
personality either. And like the mechanics were a little wonky and I'm bad at it, so I was struggling at the same time. The whole package didn't sit well with me. That on its own doesn't mean it's a bad game. It certainly did some things well, but I think those were good things in 2000. I don't think this game forward proofed itself very much. More the vibe than anything else. But in 2021, I just don't think anybody, unless they had a soft spot in their heart for this type of game already, is going to go back and be like, nostalgia. Instead, I think they're going to be like, kind of cringe. Or at least I did. And so, for that reason, this one's certainly not a New Game Plus vote for me. I'm sorry for those of you who submitted it. I'll still jump in the pool with you anytime you want.
Aw, but not the lake. All right, Nolan, you want to go?
Yeah. I think that this game is not fun. I also
Is it one of the worst games we played?
No, I don't think that. I think that is crazy. It's there are redeeming qualities.
There's so much.
There are redeeming qualities to it. I, for one, like the early 2000s vibe. I think it's so fun, and there's kind of a revival happening right now of like early 2000s, like Zoomers discovering it. However, the game mechanics, like the physics and the way that you control your character, I don't like. I know some people do. I know some people like the floaty aspect of it. I don't. And that's all you do. So like that really distracted me. I kind of during the week was like, wait, what's the point of this game again? Like I asked myself that like 4 times. Like I knew what I was doing. I kept doing it over and over, but I was like, I don't feel like I'm winning or anything. It's just kind of weird. So I'm not going to give it New Game Plus. Surprisingly, I've heard a lot of positive things about this game, but I think maybe people are a little biased.
I'm adding a second take opinion.
What?
Because I forgot the most clear way of explaining how I felt about this game.
He thinks it's one of the best games we've played.
No, my favorite part of this game was when you had the little loading screen and it moved over and then the G like popped off and spun.
Okay.
It made me grin every time, and
So you give it a
that's
Game
great
Plus?
because like 40% of this game was watching that loading screen, anyways.
Okay,
And so yeah,
so Kenny gives it New Game Plus. Nolan does not. That's a joke. Kenny does not.
I do not.
Yeah, it's a Patreon pool
Yeah, it
submitted
is.
by not one, not
I know.
two, not three, but
No,
four.
so many people. I'm so sorry.
They're done with us, man.
And listen, I get it's an aesthetic thing, and so here's my thing. Even if it's not my aesthetic vibe, like if I'm too old or too young for whatever vibe someone's going for, I can still see the merits of a good game.
Yeah.
And this is not it. The mechanical enjoyment of it. Here's the thing. The beginning of it was somewhat intriguing, but then immediately I was like, oh no, like I'm not enjoying this. As I played more, I did get more of a hang of it. But even after hours and hours of play this week, it never felt good. It never felt like I had control of my character. And even when I could clear a stage on the first or second time, I was just doing it again. And after, like, I know that there's different game types, but it's still just skating poorly and tagging something, whether or not it's moving. That's what you're doing. And it never felt good. It never felt novel. There's a lot of love put into this. I get it if you like if you like it, especially if you have nostalgia for it. But no one is come across it. Very few are going to come across it in 2021 for the first time and be like, "Oh yeah, this is a good one."
Dang.
For all the mix of stuff that this game was, and it is really novel because it's a crazy mix of stuff. We had a hard time even defining it. I feel like there's some other games somebody would rather go back and play. Somebody would rather play Tony Hawk. Somebody would rather play Splatoon. Somebody would rather play GTA. Somebody would rather listen to an album. I don't know. It just is a mess.
So, Kenny says no. Nolan says no. And so I've got to say, Mewtwo.
Great.
That means that Jet Grind Radio is not New Game Plus certified.
People are
In
going to be
fact,
so mad.
all three of us said no on a Patreon poll, which is rare, and I love it, and you hate us. What did you think? YouTube, 498 votes.
Yeah.
63% said yes, it's worth playing today. 5% said no, go play something else, and 32% have never played it before.
We're in the 5%. We're never in the lower one on YouTube.
Well, we were in the 32% before this week, where we had never played it before. So, like,
sure.
I mean,
Okay, that's true. But now we're 5.
okay, we've got a lot of commentary again. I always try to, I certainly want to include, if you submitted it in the Patreon poll, your
Yes.
commentary, and then if you're new, that's kind of the ones that I'm highlighting. But Indar, one of the ones that submitted, said, I absolutely love Jet Set Radio through and through. I got it for Christmas one year in the early 2000s. Nostalgia.
Yeah.
It was challenging at first, but even as a kid, I was able to eventually 100% it. I have even revisited it numerous times throughout the years, including the HD remaster in 2012. The game is known for its amazing soundtrack, which I agree is very unique and fitting for the theme of the game. It's interesting that it actually ties in with the story and lore, while DJ Professor K hosting the Jet Set Radio pirate radio station. The gameplay is challenging and rewards movement, precision, and map knowledge. By today's standards, the controls can seem daunting and uncomfortable for beginners. But like many retro games, one just needs to have a bit of patience to feel one with the character, which will make the game significantly more fun and engaging. Jet Set Radio has everything I want from a player game: intriguing story, fun characters, unique levels, challenge scoreboards, a catchy soundtrack, and a lot of heart and charm. Out of the about 625 games I've played, this one clearly stands out to me. It's easily my favorite Dreamcast game and definitely in my top games of all time.
I do like the Professor K narrating thing. I think that's fun.
I think
And
that's one of the highlights.
It's one of the highlights for sure, but even watching those and like he'll be narrating something like this is cool, and then they'll show a shot of someone doing some ridiculous dance move, and I get distracted and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I do. I like the DJ a lot. And Ender, I'm glad that you like this game.
Yes. Sorry.
Jake, on the other side, said, I really wanted to love Jet Set Radio. It's a game several of my friends regularly discuss, so I was very excited when NGP drew it. The art style, music, and theme of the game, I think, is amazing. I absolutely love the dance club music meets punk tracks. Really put me into the themes of the game. The story is goofy, but charmingly so, and the art style is sharp with bright colors. But after a few levels, all this wore off and I just grew bored, finding myself doing levels, wondering if there was more. And then I hit it. The wall that made me put the game down. The stupid mission where you have to chase opposing game members and spray their backs. So annoying. After 4 failed attempts, feelings both frustrated and bored, I put the game down. I wanted to love JSR, but the frustrating controls and seemingly changing hitboxes of the spray paint target were a deal breaker. Unfortunately, no NGP for me.
Yeah, I hit that wall kind of early.
For anyone that's playing and doing the chase and the thing, you just got to get behind them and as fast as possible. Don't just try to spread that out. But yeah, I mean, Jake was not the only dissenting voice. There are others in Discord.
Okay,
but the
good.
other 2 that I'm including are pretty much there. By the way, Nolan, is there any chance, I don't know if you listened long enough or if you worked on it, but can you do DJ Professor K's voice? Or
no.
Okay.
No.
Well, then I'm going. I'm not
Don't
going to
try.
be able to do it justice. Well, someone wrote as DJ Professor K.
Oh, what are we gonna do? I'm not doing it.
I'm just gonna give it to you a little bit.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
If you're listening to this, don't think that this is special because
Okay.
all of mine turned Jamaican, which is a little close on this one.
Yeah,
Actually,
a little bit.
Garlisle wrote and he said, "Coming at you loud and free. It's Jet Set Radio live from the era where Sega's creative juices flowed through the streets to paint the Dreamcast with the bombastic graffiti of games and the world had never seen before. Maybe you'll bounce off, want to tell these kids to quieten down and get themselves a normal job like a normal game." That sounds like Kenny. But this ride's gonna stick in your head one way or another because Sega was dreaming bigger than their skills. But don't we all? This parkour adventure's all about bucking sterilization and doing your own thing, making your own ways, bumping all, grooving to killer jams while you do so. Even if it doesn't quite make it to the moon, it'll shine with the stars of memory. It's rebellious, neo-modern punk that's yet to be imitated. A unique spirit that deserves a new mix the world's yet to provide. It's Jet Set Radio.
You get lost in enthusiasm towards the end. I love that he wanted us to read it like that, but no.
I think if you look into those words, I don't think Garlisle liked it. Like, to be honest, maybe
Yeah.
he did or he recognized it, but he's saying, I think what he's saying, we'll have to have like an English teacher interpret it, you know, but
Right.
I think he's saying that it doesn't quite hit what it's trying to do, but there are going to be fans of it.
But it
So,
sounded
yeah,
positive
sure.
the way that you read it, and so it sounded like you liked it.
In that voice, and it's
Yeah.
going to sound positive.
Sure. Finally, Shauna, another submitter of this game,
Yeah.
said, super excited this game was selected this week because it was one of those possibly forgotten gems from the early 2000s. Now, JSR may be a nostalgia bomb today. Back in 2000, it was everything late 90s had prepared us to look forward to in the new millennia. Looking at this game today,
Yeah.
sure, there are flaws, but if we could just slip on our oversized sunglasses from the era, you'll see the game on the cutting edge of looks, music that still slaps, and the hopeful, rebellious nature only the JSR storyline can provide. Playing this game has and always will make me feel cooler than I actually am. NGP for sure.
Like I said, it's a time capsule. Straight up, it's a time capsule, and it's great for those that like want to remember that.
I'm not disagreeing. I think it slaps in 2000 for most of the people it was trying to appeal to.
Well,
Sorry, guys.
we are putting JSR down to rest because, again, we did not give it our vote. You can read everyone else's commentary in the commentary section in our Discord to see that we're not the only dissenters here, us and Jake. And so definitely check those out. But do send in your thoughts on the retro game of the week each and every week to ngppodcast@gmail.com or drop in our commentary channel on Discord. You can, we'll hopefully be able to read your thoughts as a part of next week's episode. We're doing another Patreon poll this week. We've got a lot of games in here like Donkey Kong Country 2 from Astral Soul. We've got Day of the Tentacle from Starquake. We've got 50 Cent Bulletproof from The Whiskey Dick.
Now we
We've
keep
got
showing.
Psychonauts from Austin. Dino Crisis from Ramiel. We've got Final Fantasy VI from Casey.
Oh,
That would be a
Kenny
big
doesn't
one.
want that one.
Oh,
No.
I don't want a Final Fantasy game this week.
Are you at the lake?
No,
Okay.
Sure.
but
You
I'm
didn't
not at
look-
home, clearly.
You're not at home for sure. We've got Gogomon's Great Adventure from Dan the Man and
Ooh.
Shauna. And then, from a healthy amount of people,
It's
we've got Super Metroid.
Okay. Dude, can this be it? I'm placing bets.
It's not the last randomizer, so we've got one more chance if this one doesn't work this summer.
Yeah,
Oh, we have another?
I think it won't happen this time, and I think
I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
no. Yeah, this is the last of the pool party. We'll have more, but not as part of 2021.
Well, it has
summer
to
pool
be
party.
this one.
I bet you $1 million that it's Super Metroid. Let's go.
No.
Randomizing now. We're playing a platform game developed and published by Nintendo.
Stop. It's not it.
It is a successor
It's
to
not.
a previous game in the series. It's actually the first in a new series. It was released in 1985 for the Famicom in Japan. It was directed, produced, and designed by Shigeru Miyamoto. This game is the one that started it all in many cases. It is Super Mario Bros.
Are you kidding me?
Like
We've never
the-
played this?
Like what? Like the original?
Like Super Mario Bros. Dun 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 dun. dun.
Whoa, we haven't played this.
We have never played Super Mario Bros. And it was only submitted one time in the pool this time by Logan. So Logan, you got extremely lucky, and the randomizing gods
The odds.
they shine down on you and let us play a truly classic game.
You got set up so nice with the fake out there, Dustin.
That was super nice. I
Sequel
could have probably
Nintendo.
done even better.
Probably.
Because I could have I could have started with the game is
Super? Oh, I thought you were gonna say-
Mario Bros.
Oh my
Popularity, the
gosh.
name, you could have milked that whole
I could have milked
mystery
that-
way harder.
But I didn't,
I
because
can't be upset.
that's not my goal here. My goal is to bring out the game that the randomizer chose, and this one again by Jordan is Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo, for the Nintendo, for the Famicom. So grab a copy of Super Mario Bros. If you can find one. I think they're selling for like a couple $1 million right now, and play along with us.
Open up your sealed copy.
Join us in Discord. That's all. Just kidding.
We're going to be talking this week.
We're going to be talking this week. We're going to get berated for this decision.
I could care less.
But we'll also be talking about Mario. Like, that's a huge deal. It's time to join. ngppodcast.com/join us. No. Click join us in Discord. And then you can talk.
Join us in Discord. You send it everybody straight to a 404.
Yeah.
You can also hit up patreon.com/NGP podcast. And that is a URL that I believe exists and will help you join the likes of some of our amazing producers who support this show in an ongoing fashion. People like Amarlian, Anthony, Austin, Ben, Bethany Fox, Brunk, Carrie, Dan the Man, Francesca, Hi, I'm Josh, Joey, Corey, Maxima, Nawel, Secret Duck of Evermore, Shauna, Thomas, Unbelievable, Wardonis, William, and Zion. If you wanted, you could go way above and beyond and join our director level supporters who go all in making your retro dreams come true. Like Antonin, Garlisle, Jordan, and Bro Jim. We also want to say a huge thank you / shout out / tag your name across our hearts in graffiti
Mewtwo.
to Andrew, Eric GT, Kakio Sound.
Nice.
I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sorry. And Kayunjin. I probably also butchered yours too. Feel free to correct me on name pronunciations. Thank you for joining us as new patrons.
Thank you.
And for your support.
Appreciate you.
And you did hit our new producer as well?
I don't believe in hitting people. No.
I will. Do you want
Tagging
me to do it, or are you right there, buddy?
No, I'm right there to make sure we also shout out our newest producer, Lorelai.
Hey.
Lorelai, welcome. Thank you so much for your support, and welcome to the producer crew. And we certainly will never forget about you.
Never again.
You can follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. Guys, you really are, and we appreciate it. It's so cool to see all of our YouTube is just exploding. We just recently had a live stream and celebrated our hitting 10K.
10K.
Now we've got 2 videos over 1 mil. Come on,
crazy.
guys. Thank you so much for your support. If you haven't followed us on those platforms yet, make sure to do so. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. This episode was edited and produced by our good friend Tom Tate. Join us next week as we play Super Mario Bros.
Capital C Classic. So fun.
Capital S. Anyways. Until then, I'm still Dustin.
I'm still Kenny.
Capital N Nolan.
And this has been New Game